Welcome back folks, my name is Last No Meal and the day has finally arrived. Today I am bringing you my review of the Witcher 3 next gen upgrade. Huge thanks to CD Projekt Red for providing the review key. I had a blast finally going into the game, which kickstarted my channel in the first place and still is one of my favorite games of all time. All of the footage is captured on PlayStation 5, PC version review will come out very soon, so stay tuned for that one. And I will switch between performance and ray tracing mode, and I will write on the screen when ray tracing mode is on. Starting with the most dominant changes and features, let's talk about graphics. For this upgrade, CD Projekt Red has completely upgraded and reworked textures for most assets around the levels and environment, which we can see by the much better quality of grass, rocks, roads, materials, clouds, buildings and so on, even though this captured footage does not do its full justice sadly due to bitrate. This change is also reflected on items like armor pieces, which have a lot more detail than before, swords which are also redone in higher detail and combined with graphical improvements and features like some forms of ray tracing give a really nice reflection of the material. For this, CD Projekt Red has used mods from authors like Hulk Hogan, which did a texture rework mod for insane amount of assets in the game as a foundation, but that's not the only mod included in the game. We're going to talk about the rest very soon. When it comes to various types of monsters and fiends, they also have been reworked textures and quality wise, offering higher detail than ever before. Other types of NPCs like dwarves, humans, elves and such have also higher details in faces, which spans across all models. Keep in mind, those faces have been just enhanced, they were not changed. So for example, Geralt of Rivia looks like Geralt of Rivia from the original game. He's not going to have a different complexity in his face, but texture-wise it has been upgraded. Now, besides the texture and quality upgrades, levels have also been populated with a lot more vegetation than before, which we can see as we traverse the roads or head into the dense forest. Now let's talk about ray tracing, which is definitely a nice addition to the game itself. During the day, due to changes in how light reflects off surfaces and generally falls onto Geralt, armor and everything else, it just gives you a completely different vibe compared to the original in a very good way, where now for some reason, like maybe because of the light, the armor and the material of armor like chainmail for example is actually a lot more visible than before, and especially because the textures have been also increased, like it just looks better. Console version has two modes, 4K 60 frames performance mode and 4K 30 frames ray tracing. Keep in mind, of course, resolution is dynamic on both. Console gets ray traced global illuminator and ray traced ambient inclusion along with FSR for better frame rates. PC on the other hand gets DLSS, ray traced reflections and ray traced shadows as well. When you're going through the world during the night, torches and lamps from buildings start painting an amazing image and vibe, which made me happy as the first time I played the game. Suddenly all of that nostalgia from before came back. And besides that, going through the dense swamp with fog rolling in, ray tracing and updated graphical features really start standing out. And speaking of dense fog, something interesting also happens. With the new weather effects and conditions added, now you have that bleak, depressing but beautiful fog rolling through all of the world, giving you a different vibe when you play, shrouding even familiar locations into a completely new veil. Also, the color palette, which appears then being bleak and washed out, reminded me of the Witcher 1 vibe, so big plus for that because I really like that atmosphere. Level of detail has also been increased, where now you will see a lot more detail in the background when you explore through the world. Distant villages and cities will now show more objects or elements like smoke coming out of chimneys, and it just looks better in the background overall. Framerate wise, game was running incredibly well without stutters or drops during heavy action moments. During gameplay in performance mode, keep in mind in ray tracing mode 30 frames can be a little bit problematic, not in terms of terrible FPS dips, but I have had some time getting used to it because first off it's 30 frames and you know that's problematic by itself, but sometimes as I play with ray tracing mode there has been some dips in frame rate where obviously I cannot calculate which one it was because I was on a console and I don't have that software, but I definitely felt like in few moments the game started stuttering in ray tracing mode. And then I switched to performance mode to see if it's going to be the same. Performance mode was running amazingly well. Ray tracing did have some hiccups on the other side. Nothing too terrible, nothing which, gets you out of the loop, but sometimes you will see that stutter, definitely. I mean, look, it's a very beautiful game. I often found myself standing overlooking a cliff or nature around me, just taking in the amazing atmosphere, and switching to ray tracing mode does have its perks, definitely, because everything now just goes up and, kind of glows up in a nice way. But even performance mode in general, like, honestly, even there graphically, it looks really, really beautiful. Now let's go and focus on gameplay changes, features and additions. When it comes to alchemy and picking up herbs, it's easier than ever with a click of a button, so no need to go into that little inventory to see what you're picking up and then picking it up. Great for people who want an alchemy build, for example, and that's only for herbs. Other containers open normally where you can see what you pick up, so it's only reserved for plants themselves. New camera perspective, as we all know, has been added, and I'm a bit addicted to it. I always had that camera modded anyway in the old gen version, so having an official camera implemented in this way was really nice. Tighter focus on Geralt means tighter focus on combat and enemies, and one-on-one encounters can be really fun just because you are more involved, perspective-wise. I can see a problem though for some if you fight more enemies, where tighter camera can sometimes cause enemies to attack you from a blind spot, which doesn't really happen with a classic camera because it's wider. For me personally, that wasn't a big problem. It might take a few turns in combat to get used to it, sensitivity wise, but once you do, game starts flowing really well. Actually, just the fight with a bear with this new perspective was honestly insane. Like, every single monster in the game just looks bigger, neckers look bigger, ghouls look bigger. As I said, bears themselves are now bigger than ever, and it just, I don't know, for me this is nice because I prefer this camera perspective, I always did. Of course, new armor and weapon pieces have also been added into the game, and I really didn't want to spoil them straight away, and I think I cannot even do it by contract. But yes, you do have them. Keep in mind, at the time of recording this video, I do not have full patch notes at my disposal. We will cover that when it's out. Actually, those patch notes might be out by the time this video is out, but by the time I'm recording this, we didn't actually get it, but I think it should be happening Monday or Tuesday, I don't know. This was actually said publicly on Twitter. Now, when it comes to other gameplay changes and what mods have been included for both consoles and PC, you get world fixes by TerG500, Nitpicker's patch, various visual fixes by Chuck Cash, then, as I mentioned, HD reworked project by Hulk Hogan, also FCR3 immersion and gameplay tweaks by Andrzej Kwiatkowski, and also HDMR or HD Monsters reworked mod by Denrod. Amazing mods which I used before, and you can definitely see them in the game itself. When it comes to combat, there are no particular changes in terms of how actually combat works and how it's done. It's pretty much the same as it always was. I do believe I did see some new finishers though, I could be wrong on that one, but personally, at least when it comes to combat, when it comes to how Geralt ducks and covers and rolls, I mean, it's pretty much as it was like before, no changes on that front. Quick cast feature is also nice, where now firing signs is a lot faster than before. R2 and X will trigger Ard, for example, or R2 square will do an Axie, or R2, L2 is going to do Igni spell, or well, Igni sign, but overall, I mean, for me that was nice actually to have that quick cast. It took me a while to get used to it in like the first 10-15 minutes, but after that it was okay. Map is now also upgraded with the same mechanics like Cyberpunk 2077, giving you filters to select what you want to see on the map to prevent unnecessary clutter from the original version. I think the addition is really nice, although I got used to the original map so much that I personally didn't mind the clutter, but it's nice to have it. And finally, after all of these years, fall damage has been reduced, so you won't have your Geralt break his neck dropping from a medium-sized stone. It felt good and is a welcome change. Honestly, in the game, like, I remember I was going next to a cliff and I'm like, okay, I cannot go here, I have to go around. And I'm like, okay, so maybe they reduced fall damage, so I fall next to it and I survived. And I really pushed it, dropping from relatively insane heights which would destroy you before. Right now, zero issues at all, so feel free to jump around with Geralt because, well, the situation has been finally solved. And of course, as they said, you can now pause during cutscenes and dialogue, which is also a nice addition to the game. When it comes to Netflix DLC pieces, one of the first things I turned on, because it's not on by default in the game, is the Nilfgaardian armor. Seeing this from first person was a vibe, and I mean, I'm gonna keep it just for the memes through my entire playthrough, because why not? And Geralt also receives a nice upgrade with swords from Netflix The Witcher, both silver and steel, as well as the armor from Season 1 and Season 2 of The Witcher, or well, at least variations of the armor. Armor is done well, you know, detail-wise. Playing with it was actually cool. You do get it as a blueprint though, which you have to craft. And keep in mind, again, spoiler-wise, I won't be going into the quest itself. I did finish the quest because it's new piece of content. I don't want to spoil it. It was actually such a nice thing to hear, you know, Doug Cockle play Geralt of Rivia after all of these years, and he still has it really well. So I'm honestly excited to see what they have for the future of at least Geralt of Rivia in some form, in some little form maybe, not as a main character. So when the quest itself comes, when you do get it, the Netflix one, again, keep in mind it's relatively high level, not too much, but relatively high level. I would wait if I were you, but if you wanna Leroy Jenkins it, feel free to do it. Photo mode has also been added into the game, where now you can pause during any moment and take a picture you want. Of course, like in Cyberpunk 2077, you can play around with the contrast, brightness, position of the camera, how wide it is, what focus and lens aperture you want, and so on. Adding this was a really nice feature, especially for consoles, where now you can take proper images of your adventures. Big question is also about your saves. Being stored in a cloud, I think that you will be able to continue your progression once it's out, because I see no reason why you shouldn't be able to continue your progression if the saves are stored on cloud. Keep in mind, at the time of recording this, cross-platform saves were still not included for obvious reasons, because the game is still not out and GOG has to be updated. And as I said, cross-progression is now also included, meaning your saves are stored on a cloud, and you can continue your game, let's say, on your console after you finish playing on PC and so on. There is no Game Plus Plus included, since that was also a big question for some reason. Normal Game and New Game Plus is included like before, and Update does also cover both expansions as well. So Hearts and Stone and Blood and Wine receive everything which the main game did in terms of those upgrades. When it comes to bugs and glitches, I didn't see anything. One good thing about this is that CDPR did another QA scan of the game, which means that they went through the game again, you know, quests and everything, and fixed what needed fixing from previous versions, or, well, what people found out during past couple of years. So don't worry, on that front, it's done well. There was a few graphical glitches though, like some LOD popping up in the background, like some buildings glitching out, or maybe some stuff in the mountains like we can see here, but besides that, not really. So frame rate wise, at least on performance mode, zero issues, had a total blast playing it, and I'm gonna definitely be continuing to play this after I'm finished with this video. When it comes to mods on PC right now, keep in mind there was a list from CDPR a few days ago with mods they tested for PC version itself. Next gen version comes with the same selected mods across all platforms like on console, but mod support is still only available for PC, so sadly, as on a console, besides the mods which are already included in this, you have no way of installing any other extra mods. Do keep in mind that all script mods are completely broken. Every single script mod in the game is broken. All of the other mods which are not script based have a higher chance of working, and most of them actually still work. Now it will depend on the authors themselves if they want to upgrade their mods in general. If they do, they will work. If modders do not upgrade their mods, well, sadly they're not going to work, and we have to wait for an alternative if the alternative even appears. Of course, if you're on PC, I do recommend a clean install, so remove all of the mods, everything which you had before, or just back it up somewhere and install a fresh version of this game, and then on top of that I would, you know, start modding even more. And also keep in mind regarding the story of the game, there are no changes to that story itself, it's intact just like it was in the original game when it came out. So no extra content in that form or no changes to the quests themselves without, as I said, all of the extras which were included like Netflix The Witcher quest. So is this worth the upgrade? In my opinion, absolutely yes. First off, I mean, it's free. And I mean, when it comes to PC players who pushed mods into this game, you know, you won't notice an insane difference, definitely, but there is difference for sure. Because mods were able to enhance some things, they were not able to enhance everything. Especially having proper official, real ray tracing is a treat itself. And I'm looking at, like, for example, Ultra Plus. Ultra Plus itself is just worth it if you have a really strong PC. And it's not just for graphics, there are many quality of life and gameplay improvements I talked about. This is the latest version of the game, the one which did tackle a lot of these small nits and bits and problems of the original version. So for me, at least, it's a logical upgrade. And on top of that, ModKit has also been updated to reflect the changes in the game, so most mods on the PC will be updated themselves, so it's not going to be a problem for everyone who doesn't want to part, you know, their ways with the original, you know, modded game that they have. And I really did feel the same happiness again like I did when I originally played The Witcher Day 1. This game was a big part of my gaming life and YouTube as well. Nostalgia kicked into 6th gear straight away, and even though I'm revisiting the same locations and people I talked to a million times before, it still felt fresh for some reason. Maybe it was, you know, nostalgia speaking, but I couldn't help myself and I just started doing quest after quest after quest. Also, one big question about Perch signpost. I did not see that they updated the signpost itself, so the location of the Perch signpost, I believe right now, as far as I was able to see, is pretty much the same. And I definitely do recommend this, and of course I will be going live for the release night so we can talk more about it, and of course expect a lot more Witcher 3 next gen videos in the coming days I am preparing for you. And thank you so much for watching. This is Alchemy signing out. Don't forget to tell me down below what do you think about all of this, and if you have any questions and comments I missed or you have any interest in something, just write them down below and I will try to answer them if I can or if I know. And thank you again for watching and enjoying the video, hopefully you did. Follow us on Twitter and Discord, and huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. And if you want to support the channel in an extra way, you can do it through here or join button on YouTube. Stay classy everyone, and I will see you all very soon in another video. Bye bye.